Welcome in, everybody. It is another week and another LaunchBox stream. Game Noob, hope you're doing well. Focusborg, oh my god. I don't know if I'm ready. You're actually here. I was thinking that I was going to have to fill in 2 hours of time. But here you are. I don't know what to say. You set an alarm to remind you. Well, good. I hope you all are doing well. It's been another productive, busy week here in the LaunchBox offices, I guess, if you want to call it. I have a few things that I do have to do, and I figured might as well do them on stream. A couple things that I know that I have to do is there is a test branch for a web fix for our games details page on the website of things. And so I'm going to get to there. Maybe I'll explain what I'm testing, and I'll leave this browser open on our test server so that I can remember to do that. I've got a number of things on Windows to test. We're on the cusp of beta 1. So we're just kind of going through all of the things that are in this beta, and we're trying to polish it up. And then we'll be putting out a release. So we're very close. And then so I'll discuss that, and maybe we'll go through bits and pieces of that, and so that I can run a few tests. And there's a few things that I also have to do for that release, so I'll do them here on the stream. But always, I am here to discuss all things LaunchBox. So if anybody does have a question about LaunchBox, let's discuss it. And let's talk about it. Depending on how much time we'll have, we'll do our usual deep dive into all of the features in our feature request system, and we'll see how many Chunky Lover Mark got to adding to the system. I'm not actually sure if he added any more, but I will take a look at that if we have time, which I'm sure we will, because I don't think that there's too much that needs to be done. Another thing that I can do is we released a beta for LaunchBox for Android. I believe we did that last week, and it fixed a number of problems with the app. Not the app, but beta 2 that we had. And we just kept working on the Android app. What we did was we finally solved our scope storage conundrum that we were having. We had implemented scope storage, and for people that don't know, scope storage is like Android's sandbox restricted file access system that we have to go through for specific apps, or any emulator that doesn't provide explicit support for front ends to launch, so send like a file path to them. You basically need scope storage to do that. But scope storage is kind of a hassle for users. You have to set permissions on a particular folder that then can get sent with some sort of somewhat, not quite encrypted, but somewhat changed file path that then gets sent. It's kind of a headache, but we figured that out, and there's not that many emulators left that don't support launching from a front end, but those ones will magically work after this update. So yeah, what have you guys been up to over this last week? So Focusborg, you need to add a game to the database soon. Why soon? Why not now? Crazy Car on the Apple Macintosh. An old shareware from your girlfriend's childhood that you had to dig up into online archives to find. Interesting. I don't think that I've ever heard of that game. I like looking into games, so let's take a look. All right, is this it? Crazy Car. Not really much information about it, but looks cool. And ED, does anyone keep their games on a network drive? With LaunchBox build on a different PC, debating on going that route. So, for a very long time, I kept my games. So I have an Unraid server. It's basically a NAS that I kept all my games on, and works fine for the time that I played it or used it that way. And I would still use it that way right now if I was in the house with that Unraid server, but I'm not. So yeah, it's a good way. Depends on your NAS. It depends on your network, right? You're now more heavily reliant on your network hardware and how that NAS functions. So the good thing about the Unraid server is that I was able to just say, never go to sleep, never charge down like normal network attached storage devices could do. If you wanted to save the hard drives from spinning or something, and you put some sort of like sleep mode on your NAS and it's not being used for a while, and then you go and use it, there'll be a slight delay as it tries to spin itself up. So you'll see LaunchBox try to launch the game, and then it'll just spin it up, and you'll be like, oh, there's a little bit of a delay there. And then if you were like right next to your NAS, you would hear it spin up. You're like, ping, and then you would hear the little things accessing your file, and then you would see LaunchBox move and do its thing. But I was able to play quite large games directly from the NAS, so that wasn't a problem. I also had a fairly good network connection, and the NAS itself was directly connected through a wire directly to the router, and so I didn't really have any problems there. I wouldn't do it if every single one of your devices is wireless, unless you live in a small place and each one is connected by I don't know, I would say Wi-Fi 6, but yeah, probably Wi-Fi 6 would be the lowest I would go. For sure. I mean, you can also, if you just had a regular computer, like let's say you had a main computer, like for me, I just keep my main computer on all the time. And so you could just share a folder on that computer and just make it never go to sleep. And then all your other devices are accessing the game from that computer. Like, you don't need a dedicated NAS, even though there's many benefits to have one. Focus Borg. So you're just waiting to take those pictures. That's all that's stopping you. And that game was never released on any other game. Looks like it was remade, or a different game has the name. Mac only game. And RetroPython Unraid is the way to go. It is a nice little operating system, that's for sure. Does a hard drive plugged directly into your router through a USB port count as a network? It does, actually. I mean, it basically is just a network. It is a type of network attached storage. Focusborg, you use a NAS to edit videos. That's interesting. Don't think I've ever done that before. Andre, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's the most literal network attached storage. The difference is that it's using a USB and not like a network cable. Old Mac game, yellow cars, super janky. Had a construction tool. I mean, it looks like an interesting game. I would have played a game like this when I was a kid. I mean, I played many games like this when I was a kid, and I did enjoy that type of game. It reminds me of like Micro Machines or something like that. That's pretty cool. All right, well, I hope everybody's doing well and had a good week. Did anybody do anything inside of LaunchBox over the last week? Well, to answer that, let's take a look at this one problem. The problem that we were having was on our new game page. We were unable to delete media. We were unable to delete media if a game did not have a region associated with it, I think was the problem. Let's see. Don't like this image is my reason I'll give. Confirm. And let's just see if it goes through to the moderation queue. The image having no region was the issue. There you go. And there it is. It's in the moderation queue. So that is a good sign. Half the day trying to find the game. I had a game like that. Probably for a good 10 years. I couldn't find what the game was, and every time that I asked somebody what the game, like I would describe the game to a person. I played a game when I was I don't even know, 7 years old, and it was on MS-DOS, and you were like a little guy on like a checkered board type of thing in space, or at least the black background, and it looked like a 3D field. And you had the ability to move left, right, and forward. I don't remember if you had the ability to move back. I don't think you did. And every time you moved, there were enemies on the screen that also could move one block. And the goal was you needed to get to the end of this level before any of the enemies caught you. You also had the ability to zap away one of the like ground squares so that the enemies couldn't catch you as fast. But each time you did that, the enemies had the ability to move one time. And I would describe this game to people, and for 10 years no one knew what the heck I was talking about. So I can feel for your girlfriend there. Just like you have these memories, but some of these games are so obscure. That nobody else played them but you. Game Noob, yours was a PS1 game, like a beat 'em up, side scroller, and you can never remember the name. Yeah. I think we all have a game like that. Anyway, randomly, I found the game myself. And it was one of those aha moments. And the game was called Moraf's End Trap. Like I was going to freaking guess that. And there it was. I remember playing it exactly like this. With black and white kind of thing. Who's going to remember Moraf's End Trap? And that was the game. This little guy. And I don't remember the Rainbow Road because I played on a black and white monitor, so that wasn't in my mind. And then there was these little guys, and every time you moved, they also moved towards you. The thing is, you had like a zapper thing, so you could make holes into the ground, or you could also fill holes into the ground. You fill the holes that are in the ground, and so. But each time you would do one of those things, they would get closer to you. They even displayed the name on the game itself. That was like part of it. It's like, just in case you didn't know, this is the game you are playing. Anyway, I feel like I'm the only one that played this game. But I found it, so my lifelong goal was finding that game is now over. I did spend quite a bit of time just like replaying it and realizing as a concept the game was great, but once you understood what to do, you could never lose. So that was probably a problem with that concept. What else am I seeing here? We've got overviews opening up. Maybe a little bit too far, but it's at least opening. Whoa, that's interesting. Cool. Let's try to delete a few more images. Why don't we do that? This one's not even an image. This is not even an image. Let's try the admin bypass that I only have access to. The page reloads itself and everything. And it's gone. Nice. Look, this game is apparently Cyberpunk 2077. That's not the right image. Oh. This image cannot be loaded. I assume it's because of the type of image. Maybe I'll leave that one. Testing out the delete function, making sure that all images can still be removed. If it worked, it should show up in my changes status. It makes you think of a Flash congregate game with walls as you ran across the screen. I don't think I ever heard of that game before, or that type of game. We are good here. This is showing up, so I think we're good. Scarmy. couple things that I was working on Windows. So anybody looking to adding Macintosh titles into LaunchBox, so actually trying to get a game to launch in LaunchBox, I know I haven't, and who knows how long it's been since someone has, and where the Mac emulation scene has gotten to. Is it one of those where there's like a Macintosh emulator that, or almost like a Macintosh VM that you have to load up in order to play the game? You got to define a hard drive value or volume, install the OS into it. Kind of reminds me of a the Windows 98 emulator. For some reason I'm PCM. Kind of reminds me of that. Which is still the only way to play a bunch of Windows 98 games. So I've been, I know that there's a way for this, or the way that people get around it is that there's some way to, I don't know if it's creating a shortcut or something, but you would launch the emulator, or you would launch the Windows virtual machine, and that virtual machine is made to specifically launch that game after the Windows opens. So you see Windows opening, and then you see the game launching after Windows opens, and then you start playing. Yeah, you'll have to look through the Mac book and see if there's any command lines that can be used, or PowerShell scripts or something, commands that can be used in there. Or at the very least, see if Mac itself, that version, had the ability to start a program on launch and then build an individual Mac, Mac snapshot just to play that game. Or maybe if there's snapshot support, have it load up a specific snapshot where the game's already running. The documentation sucks. That sucks. Alright. What are we doing on Windows? Well, Windows has a lot of changes going into this new beta. The main ones are, if I can bring up my notes here, actually created these probably not the best notes that I have. The first giant one is basically saying we have our media pack that's available. Media Pack Hub. I guess we're calling it the Media Management section. LaunchBox Themes and Media here. Where you can now go and download all media for badges, controller, input graphics, platform clear logos, and platform icons. We have tested them all, and they seem good to go, and we're doing a bit more of the changes. This is going to be a premium only feature, so all you premium guys will be able to jump in here, download the black logo pack here from Dan Patrick, and apply it to LaunchBox if you want. and all of a sudden the logos that then make an appearance inside of LaunchBox will be the black pack. And on a flip of a switch, you can make that change. So I'll stick with this one well, maybe I'll switch to this one and apply both LaunchBox and Big Box to use this colorful light pack. And it looks pretty good. Now, what I do need to do today for that is I'm going to have to test and implement in the default theme the whole controller input pack. But what the controller input packs will do is change the graphic that appears at the bottom right of the default big box theme and introduce a new control that people can use and implement into their own themes that would utilize the system basically, and make it so that if users decide to choose one of these things, it would automatically apply to their theme. And so I'll go through that process today. But the other two kinds of packs that we have here are the badges pack and the platform icon packs. And for that, all these packs are non-destructive. You can have multiple on your computer at the same time. You can apply them individually to LaunchBox or Big Box. You can create your own packs and apply them from that screen. So it's quite versatile, I must say, in the end result. So that's what this first point is. The second point is basically saying, for all you guys that want to create your own packs, you can do so from this page. So we have to build this new page, and that's something that I'll probably have to do on the stream as well, is go to this page, the launchbox-app.com/media page, and upload a pack. I think I have to upload a few packs for the controller inputs media pack just to test it out and to make them available for everybody. So I will do that as well. In fact, that might be the next thing that I'll have to do. We've also the XEMU plugin, integration plugin, has been available inside of LaunchBox for a little while. I don't know if anybody has set up Xbox, the Xbox platform since we made this available, but this release will make it standard inside of LaunchBox basically. So you no longer have to go and download it. It should just be there, and you'll get the benefit of the three benefits are that we can download it for you during an import, or during if you just imported using the auto import system. We can provide updates to it. I'm sure there's probably an update to that thing every day, and of course, as I say that, there's no update, so I guess that's not true. And then there's the third benefit of that we keep track of the it's integrated into our dependency file system. So all of the files that are required for XEMU to run, we make it slightly easier by giving you information about what's missing in this dependency file section, so that you can go with the knowledge to try to find, get these files yourself from your own Xbox and bring them over. We also should automatically bring in a blank hard drive for you, which is available from the XEMU website. So we also do that step for you as well. So that's what that plugin basically does. And for people that don't use or don't want to use Microsoft Xbox emulation, you basically can ignore the plugin. Anything else here that's worth talking about? Those freezes in Big Box that some people have been having, they should be gone if they were related to VLC playback specifically. So this update will have that fix. It should have a potential fix for the out of memory error that people might have been having if they put their computer to sleep with LaunchBox or Big Box open for a specific amount of time. Something that we learned in that process, or at least I learned in the process, is that Windows has 4 levels of sleep, and they describe them as S0 to S3. And there's also the hibernation level, which could be S3 or S4, I think is S4. It's the hibernation level. And then newer versions of Windows, or depending on your BIOS settings, you could bypass all of those levels. So, like, it disables all of those levels and does its own thing. And that's what my laptop apparently has. Just like ignores all of the levels, are all disabled, and it controls it itself somehow. But you do have the ability, if you know, to type in some commands into the CMD. Yeah, holding the power button puts it into S10 sleep. Yeah, you probably don't want to do that. Anyway, so we put in a fix. Basically, the way that it was described to me is that, hey, we have the ability to be able to gather the information that we need to be able to tell which kind of sleep that they're going into, and have LaunchBox react to that, so that it's not trying to do stuff with memory when it's going to sleep. Now, we shouldn't have to do any of that. This is something that Chippy said. The .NET framework's supposed to take care of that low-level stuff by itself, but oftentimes what we find is you would consider something like this a bug in the framework, and therefore we would have to work around it, kind of thing. There's some smaller things that might have, in this update, that might have getting in the way of a small amount of users. Like, if you use the minimize and maximize game launch feature, I'm guessing none of you guys in here use that feature, but if you go to tools, options, and in general, there's minimize LaunchBox when games launch and restore LaunchBox when you're exiting games. And it only functions if you're not using startup and shutdown screens. That was not working with additional applications. So now it is, and good to go there. There's also a weird one where if your ROM files had multiple spaces in a row, it would not launch properly. And so that's been fixed. I know all of you guys with multiple random spaces in your files will thank us for that. Or I guess you could have just removed the extra space from your files. Nintendo 64 DD, the most popular system that everyone fondly remembers, should now properly show you the dependency files that it's for. That's why I have Nintendo 64 DD right here. And if I go into the RetroArch dependency files Nintendo 64 DD section, we're now seeing that it's asking for the correct dependency file when it wasn't before, and that it looks like I do have it. And if I open the location, I'll see it's right there. See, so I'm right. It is the most popular system that you fondly remember. So I was not wrong there. How many is so many tracks for F-Zero on the 64 DD? And Crusade RGP, welcome in. I believe, did you put in a request or a feature request for this on feature base? Because this sounds familiar. 3 tracks. Okay, that's not as many as I was thinking. So you... So you imported... So let me see if I'm listening to you right. You imported a platform, and that platform has multiple different regional variants of the same games. Do I have a platform like that? Yeah, this one. I don't know why it's the Atari 7800, but they apparently released games in Europe and the US. And now you want to create a playlist. So let's say add a playlist. I should go to the platform category section. Add playlist for, like, I don't know, US. Let's say North American releases. The unique name would be something like Atari 7800. Alright, so playlist there. And you want to make a playlist for just the one region here. And so far, and you probably went in here and you were looking through, and so this would be specific for... I see what you're saying. Because they're being treated as just one game entry, you couldn't make a playlist that ignores one of those entries. Does that make sense? Like, LaunchBox doesn't see them as 2 games anymore. They see them as 1 game. So if what you wanted to do is have them all separated by region and treat each of those sections as more like platforms or something like that, you would want to keep the game separate and then create your playlists targeting each region, and then put this playlist at like a platform level wherever that you'd want to see them, if that makes sense. So I'd probably say, like, this is called Atari 7800 now, you know, North America. Or whatever you want to call it. And then this would be placed, let's say, in my consoles and not there. And so if we just was doing this properly, I would probably put platform is equal to Atari 7800, and then I would put region is equal to North America or whatever it is. Actually, I should probably have checked what it was. Okay, there it is. All right, and then it would grab each individual game entry that just has that specific region. If you don't care that they're connected, so you just wanted to know which games actually had that regional variant inside of it, Yeah, it's possible that that's not. It's quite possible that's not something you can do. Let's see what additional apps actually have. So it does have a region value. Okay, let's find out if it does. Yeah, it's quite possible this won't work. Right? You would want to keep those games separate. So each one is its own entry, right? And then, so if I finish this thought experiment app, and I would do Europe, and I placed it here, and not here. Sorry, 7800, and then I would put region. Let's see if we have anything else available. I sometimes get surprised, but I have a feeling I'm not going to be surprised here. Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised here. But let's say they were separate entries. Now I would have two platforms. Each of them have their unique entry games. And then I can just go in here and basically hide this one. Well, I don't want to hide that. I want to remove from here. And then in both LaunchBox and Big Box, as long as I'm using the platform category section, I'm now seeing them separate, if that makes sense. But if I still wanted to see my giant platform and do any changes to it, I would go to the platform section and I would find it there. And you would see like double entries, one for each regional variant. I think that's the best way that you got to accomplish that right now, is that you would have to treat them like separate entities. So let's say you want to keep them combined, you would probably have to put in a request for either a new auto-populate rule or an edit to one where we are looking specifically at both the main game and the additional apps versions for a region value. And at least that might solve what you're seeing. Or might solve what you're wanting to get. So there's a couple ways that you could do it. There wouldn't be extra media in that, doing it that way. So here's an example. I'm gonna have to go to the platform section now. So let's use this one game as an example. And I decide I'm going to expand it. What should happen, cross my fingers, is that both games will expand. You'll have two games that each are using the same media. And the way that we get around it is that each media, actually we might be duplicating the media. Let's see. If I didn't touch it, what are we doing? We might be duplicating the media. No, we're not duplicating the media as far as they're just both using the same file. However, if people wanted to have individual versions, so let's say you wanted one to have a European box and you wanted the other one to have the North American box, because that's, some people like to see that variance. That is also possible. But you would have to go into, you'd have to individually edit the game at this point. So I don't know if there is one. Actually, let's see. So this one does have the European region attached to it. So let's see what it finds. It finds nothing. So this game might not have one in our database. That's what I'm thinking. Let's find out. Ace of Aces with a platform of Atari 7800. Yeah, it only had one. And it's specifically flagged as North America, so that's why I'm not seeing it in my European. But no one knows what the box looks like for European boxes, eh? I could have, Joe. I could have. I just like to do things the hard way. Anyway, hope that gives you some avenues forward. So you would, if you wanted to keep them combined, let's say you don't mind, you just wanted to like identify which one. To be honest, what does our region thing do? Okay, so our region filter, which is basically what it's using, is not digging deeper into an additional app. So that's a good discussion question, actually. Let's say you went here and you were filtering by region and you chose Europe in this sense. Are you wanting that filter to dig into your versions, additional versions, and display the games that might have an additional version that is of Europe? Or are you wanting only the primary game to be filtered in this manner? And I'm guessing, Crusade, your answer would be you want to dig into the additional apps and just display all the results. Primary apps, additional apps. Yeah, that would be an interesting one. How would you identify hacks? You would have to maybe utilize a different filter, like use the region field and type in like hack and then give it like a name of some kind. Or you just put hack in the title. That's interesting, but I feel like, I mean, let's I mean, I could be wrong. I feel like I'm thinking about, yeah, I'm thinking about something else. You put the hack in the additional app title, which I don't think we have any filters on. If I'm remembering correctly. There's no additional app name filter. So that might be something else that you'd want to request. All right, so what am I doing next? Let's take a look. We have that whole controller thing going on, controller inputs. And let's just give some context. What is that? Why would I want to download different controller graphic inputs? So, while this is going on, and hopefully not too loud, I messed that one up. I'm gonna have to go in here. So see in the bottom right of my screen, the default theme has that my A button goes to select, my back button my B button is back, and I can't quite see. I think it's my start button or select button is search. And so if I had a controller like this Xbox style controller, it should work that way. Like, it's essentially what it's doing is it's reading my mappings, and it's finding, oh well, in the options I have the A button linked to the select key, and it's displaying the appropriate graphic essentially. So if I went, for example, in here and changed out in my controller mappings that I wanted search to actually be my right trigger button, assuming I don't have something else linked to it, I think I'm good. If I go back to that page, which now I have to go here, you can see that the search has now switched to the RT little graphic. And if I press it, now I can search for a game. And so it's kind of like, it is a pretty smart system, okay? Now, we've had this for many releases. That's just what we had. So this new change, what we're actually doing, is making it so the graphics that get linked into this system is now affected by the user themselves. So that's when you go into the LaunchBox themes and media manager and you go to the controller input graphics section, you'll see like an Xbox white graphics pack, and that's the main one that we've been using for a long time. We've also made a one for Nintendo controllers, one for PlayStation controllers, and you can download them in the app and then be able to select them inside of Big Box or LaunchBox to be able to display the different controller that you might be using. And then on top of that, community people can create their own graphics packs and release them. I created my own for my arcade cabinet, which I will release as well. Anybody else can do that as well. And we'll be able to you'll be able to better match what control you're actually using with what you're actually doing in what you're actually mapped to in Big Box. Now, we went through this release and kind of cleaned up the code, made a better control for this. This has always been something that people could use, but hasn't been the best as far as for theming, right? Because we were hard coding this graphics pack. That graphics pack was being put into the default theme itself, and we were pointing directly to those files. So in order for somebody to, let's say, before, if somebody wanted to utilize the system and use a different graphics pack that matched their own controller, they would have to duplicate the default theme, create their own theme, call it something else, then find these images inside of a specific folder and then replace them with their own graphics. And only then, and then in Big Box, they would have to switch to that new theme they just created. And then they would see it. So this will make the process much easier. But because of that, we had to change the theme code to be more dynamic and not hard coding a specific image location. And so now, what I need to do is go through the default theme and update everything to this new section. All right, so this is what I'll be doing here. This will be so fun. It'll be like you're playing a text adventure game called Controller Input Adventure 99. So here's the old controller code, which basically says, give me a text block that's named select button, back button, search button, and each one is going to be replaced with this exact location. Now, I would no longer need that. Here is where it's actually displaying that information. So each one is like, display this image, and then use that name to find what image to display. Yeah, go north. We're going up. And so this is the platform. There's a lot of files here on the side that are probably just little dots to you guys. And I'm going to have to update this for every single view of the default theme. But before I do that, we need to somehow solidify what this is all going to be looking like. And so I'm starting with platform view 1, which is here. And you can see that in the bottom corner, I already have the one for select there, which is right here. I've pasted this code. This whole BB con controller binding display control is referencing this namespace here that I added to LaunchBox Windows Big Box Controls. Alright, you put in the request? Cool. Cool, Crusade. And in here, there's a select binding telling me which one it's actually going to look for. And then we got a little template of what that is going to look like. You know, put the image here. Looks like I'm using a converter. I'm guessing that's what I was doing before. Okay. Yes. And it's got the same everything in there. So that's probably what I'll end up doing, is just copying and pasting what I already have. So if I went into here to see what I had before and what it looked like those three things. In this system, theme developers have control over what exactly is going to be displayed here. Alright. What I'll need to do is probably put it into a stack panel, I'm guessing. All right. I guess I need to change the orientation to horizontal. All right, stack panel will allow me to put things next to each other. And what did I do here exactly? Let's see what my old code said. I had a margin where each element was pushed by 20 to the left. Alright, and I was using a converter to make it consistent. So I will still need that right here. Oops. Should not have pressed that button. Alright, so this one will be pushed 20. And I don't need these things here. Oh, interesting. So did I have that before? Doesn't look like I did. I guess I did. Okay. I'll have to put in a converter. So hear that the select button or the select text is not all uppercase. And so in order to get that to work, I will need to find the text block right here and add a converter. Oh no. The keyboard's all messing up. Converter. Static resource uppercase. Path. Binding label. Okay. And I'll need to do that for this one as well. Just to confirm that that's actually doing something. There it is. Much better. All right, so we're putting both into the stack panel, and so I should see 2. Of course, I should remove that. Don't need the grid and column. Let's take a look. We should have 2 selects. There you go. Now I'm assuming that the other one is called back. Nice. And the third one is probably called search. There we go. We're back in business with the new code. Now, basically I don't need any of these now. Were these at all referencing something? I feel like they were. Get binding. So this get binding converter is no longer needed. So I can remove all of this stuff. And now we're in a place where we have all of the new code in. Maybe before I go and populate all of this everywhere, I should confirm that this was working for other packs. An ED, will there be an option for arcade cabinets? Not sure exactly how to differentiate buttons. So there'll be an option for my arcade cabinet. So if you have my arcade cabinet, then you can use the pack that I'm going to release. And some people might, right? Because I've got that Legends Ultimate pack. So if you have a Legends ultimate arcade panel, which looks like this. Oh, this is a bad example. Mine doesn't look like this, but it's similar to this. And you can see, if I zoom in, that they've actually labeled their buttons. And it makes it a lot easier if you've labeled those buttons, because then I create a pack where it's like A, I can use this graphic, B, C, all that stuff. If you have an arcade cabinet where all of your buttons are just red, I'm not sure how useful that would be. So you would see, I mean, you could create a pack where it's like a red button. Well, like, how would you differentiate from one red button to another? But if you have a pack that does have different buttons for each one, you could create your own pack. This wouldn't make it that hard to create your own pack. And I am going to go through that process right now. So let's take a look. What does that mean? So all of the packs are inside of the LaunchBox Images Media Pack folder. Yeah, like whatever arcade cabinet you have, you're gonna have to first figure out how to make each button unique, and then yeah, you can use the system. Inside of this Media Packs folder, there's a section called Controller Inputs. Now this whole system is designed that we can expand this in the future. We can essentially add more than these 4 types, depending on what you guys want. Like if you guys are like, I wish that you can have easily accessible packs for such and such. I don't know, game, fan art, backgrounds, or something. Yeah, you can download them from the... Maybe there should be a pack for like a fan art boxes or something. Some box art, something. And you can download specific packs if you really wanted from this particular system that's released by somebody. I know 2.5D and 3D box art kind of need to be made from the same pack, right? Because if you took pieces from one pack and pieces from somebody else's pack, they wouldn't look the same, right? They're very specific to a pack. So this system like this might work well for that situation. Anyway, inside of controller inputs, there's the Xbox White, and inside of there, you will see the full breakdown of what we have available. Now I'm going to find out, because I didn't before, to see if I have those packs available. I'm going to guess I don't. Oh, maybe. Nope. Wait, I sent them to somebody. Oh. No, I sent them to at least C-Beats at some point in the past. The Media Packs folder, ED, it will. Yeah, as soon as you update to this beta release that's not yet out yet. So none of this stuff exists. This is the sneak peek kind of thing. Yeah, not even out in beta yet, but it will be out in beta. Yeah, this is like you guys that are here get to watch this feature getting developed, basically. But maybe by the end of this, I'll be releasing the beta, and then you guys can actually play around with everything that I'm talking about here. What am I looking for? Drive.google.com. Maybe it's in here somewhere. See here. It actually might not be. Let's find out. Now that I think about it, maybe it's in... Yeah, here somewhere actually. There they are. The only one that's missing is my own pack that I created for my own situation. But that... is got to be somewhere here. Jump in and out of folders until I find it. Oh, okay, maybe here. Yeah, this is it. ED, you haven't done betas in a while, so you'll be waiting a few weeks. And then this should be out, depending on how broken this ends up being. But we're doing pretty good as far as... Oops. That sort of thing. What should I call this? This would be Legends Ultimate. I don't remember which exact Legends Ultimate I have. Maybe they don't differentiate between them. Maybe I have the HD one. Well, who knows? I'll just call it HD. And there's the buttons that I made quite a while ago now. And what you're seeing is that there's all these other buttons here. And that's because the Legends Ultimate doesn't actually have those buttons. There we go. All right, so those are the buttons that are on... Okay, AD, so it's the HD. Yeah, I mean, hopefully. It looks like the one I have, so should be okay. These look like the buttons that are on there. Yeah, I had to do some sneaky stuff. This is like a computer-made graphic. And I had to like create the actual buttons and make sure that they looked similar to what was on the system. I like took a picture of my button and overlaid this graphic over top of this button to make this. And I believe here, which are the buttons that you can get for the pinball things on the side, yeah, I created this in Photoshop using some Photoshop techniques to make it look like it. So that was just me making pictures in Photoshop. But then we got this, and people with their own their own Legends Ultimate hopefully will get a benefit out of it. So in saying that, so let's take a look. What do I have to do? Let's update, or let's upload my own packs. Media pack. What did we call this one? Mine is called Legends Ultimate HD. People are seeing this screen. If you're not logged in and you use this page, it will tell you to log into the forums. and it will use your forum name right here automatically. Can I make this any bigger? I can. Okay. So media pack version, I guess it's just 1.0. Is there any version specific? No, not yet anyway. It wants you to put a support URL, which I don't have yet. So I'm just going to point it to see if this works. It might not. Don't have a tip jar, so this is a controller input graphic pack. Users with a Legends Ultimate HD arcade. There you go. That's good enough for a description as well. No requirements rated by Farron, but I don't really have to put that, to be honest. And I'll just put initial release. Okay, so what do I have to do? Inside of here, I believe I'm going to have to zip up all of this stuff. Do I have the ability to... Oh, that's wonderful. Compress in a 7-zip file. I'll just put the 1.0 at the bottom there. There we go. What kind of file, what kind of images would you take for this? I guess what I would have to do to create an image is to build the pack myself, right? So what I'll do is I'll go here, I'll move the pack over. Oh, I see what I'm doing. Having a keyboard malfunction where some of the keys are not working properly. So that's going to be fun to troubleshoot. All right, so now that I have it there, so this is basically all you have to do if you wanted your own pack, ED, is put this controller inputs in this controller inputs folder. I basically just have a folder. The folder has the name of what the pack is, and then in there is all the buttons that all the graphics that I want to put in there. So this is going to be a test on whether this system works. I'll switch to the controller inputs type. You'll see that it's there, even though it doesn't know anything about it. It will list it there, and I'm able to apply it. Now that it's applied, I should see the Legends Ultimate graphics the theme is going to have that extra code, which is what you just saw me build. I will personally put that into all of my themes that have that kind of thing. I'll have to double check. Right, not all themes have that right in them. They don't have like a little graphics controller. Some people kind of mock one up. So there's some themes that are just like, it's just an image, and that image just says that it's the A button or the B button, but it's not dynamic like the default theme has been for, you know, the years that it's been like that. Nope. My keyboard getting me again. There we go. Yeah, so there'll be lots of examples. We'll put out videos about this. We'll cover it in some sort of documentation. All right, it's working. There you go. So you see the select and the back button, and then the search is still the RT because the Legends Ultimate doesn't have that button. So I mapped to a button that my arcade cabinet would not actually have. So let's try to guess what button my arcade cabinet would have to see that button. Try. I don't know. This one? Oops. My controller's not on. Doesn't have that either. It's going to be me guessing which button's actually on my arcade cabinet. So maybe I'll just do something simple here. That's the wrong one. Button 4 is the Y button on the arcade cabinet. So at least now we know it works. Cool. I'm pretty comfortable there then. I don't know what image I would take. Yeah, so for this, first somebody would have to create a pack, or you would have to create the pack that represents your controller. And so in order to create a pack, I guess I can go into that a little bit. You would go into your game controllers window, which every Windows operating system has. You would get your controller. It would show up there. You would go into its properties or double click. And you can see here that all the buttons are kind of labeled. Button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you would like press the A button and you'd say, okay, the A button on my controller is mapped to button 1 in Windows. And then you'll notice that the graphics that are being listed, like it's literally called button1.png, right? And you would do this for all of the buttons that you press. You know, my Y button is actually button 4, so button 4, maybe this would make more sense if it was in the Xbox section. Button 4 is the Y button, right? And on my controller, I press the Y button and it's button 4, according to what Windows is telling me it is. So every controller can be slightly different, so people are creating packs for that particular controller. So what I did was I've got this PlayStation controller here, and I synced it to Windows. Here it is. And Windows will tell me, oh, the controller window crashed apparently. Windows will tell me what these buttons are, right? You know, the X button on this is button 2. The circle button is button 3. So you can see that I created a pack and I basically named everything appropriately to what Windows thinks that those buttons are. And then from there, you can, and I'll be testing this controller out in a second. You can basically use that as a pack for anybody else that also has that controller. So if somebody else had this PlayStation DualSense, you know, I think this would work for either a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 controller, and they didn't go against what Windows is doing, then you can use this and it would accurately represent the button presses, if that makes sense. But let's say you took your controller, this PlayStation controller, and you used a mapping software to change the way that this is mapped, just globally in Windows, well, now the pack won't work because the pack was expecting different buttons to be pressed, and you're manipulating that. And so what you could do is, if that's the case and you needed it to be that way, then you can create your own pack, if somebody hasn't already, with that particular different mapping. Change the name of the graphics to match what your mapping is, and then use that as the pack. And that would then now represent your controller. And so really it's about filling up this controller input section with as many different kinds of packs as possible to represent as many different controller inputs as possible. And if that happens, then this feature could also be used for other things too, right? Because you can imagine a world where we have enough graphic packs out there for controllers that our system already knows how to deal with under the hood. We could then use these images to dictate other things like what the controls are in your emulator. There was a project that Joe, if you're still around, where we could take your controllers in this fashion and be able to tell you what that game that you're playing would do with those buttons, right? A, jumps, and B, attacks or whatever. And so that's not out of the question as we have more and more packs like this. But this is sort of like our first step. And it works well. Let me take a picture. Guess of this? And then maybe I'll take a picture of this to represent all the buttons. And that will become these pictures. Well, now I gotta remember where they saved these images that I'm taking. There they are. Oh, that's a big mess. Let's group by date. There we go. Guess I'll do that one first and this one second. Oh, it lost its grouping. Showing it kind of in action. All right, let's submit. Yeah, it's kind of like a chicken and the egg situation, right, Game Noob? You know what comes first, the graphics or the features that are going to utilize those graphics? All right, so I hit the submit button on this submission. When I click there, it should say, hey, it's pending approval. Great, it went through, it's right there. As my special license will allow me access to see, here it is. And you can see here, it's got there's an update. It says it has an update because I had a pack in there that I manually put, which doesn't contain what version it is. And now there's a version on the server that does say what version it is, and it's like, that version is better, download this new version. Sure, let's see if it works. The information is there, and I think it's okay. Being one problem that we'll have to solve, but outside of that, the actual system of downloading and all that stuff is working fine. Hey, and a cool thing about this as it gets built out is that you can filter by, or you can sort by popularity. So for the ones that you do like, and if you haven't already, because you can do this for themes, so for the themes that you do like, definitely press the heart button, and that will allow people to find the more popular themes than others. Like, I have no idea why Default Plus is the highest rated theme here. That's a surprise to me. Who liked this theme? That's fun. All right. I like that it's there. I don't know if I can approve it. Right, that means that I should be able to easily upload all the other packs. Actually, did I check to make sure that it's still working? Let me double check. Yo, you're the one. You're the one that made it jump up to the top. Alright, I should check that it did download and that it downloaded into the correct place. So here, alright, all of them are still there, and there's this new handy dandy version file that if I had to look into, I'm guessing would just show the version number as a nice encrypted string. Alright, cool. I guess it's using the it's using a hash. But it does mean that I was correct in how I uploaded it. So now I'm going to use our other account, upload the rest of the packs, and make them available. Well, that's a good question. I wonder, what do you guys think of I think what we were going to do is make all of the white packs that we have available and included by default in LaunchBox itself. So by default, if you did nothing, you could choose between a Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo controller. And then from there, you can expand it through the manage media. The other option we have is to just keep the Xbox only there and make it so that the PlayStation and Nintendo graphics you would have to go and download if you wanted it. So those are kind of the two options that we have. Either way, Here are the two. Are these zipped up? That one looks fine. Hey, Game Noob, anything is possible. What we're doing is just providing some sort of defaults. And then the community can fill in anything that they want. There could be like 100 different styles of the same exact image, same exact controller pack, or for the same controller. And saying that, it's possible if this gets out of control, we might need a new way to filter these things. It'd be by hardware. Or maybe just a search might work. Yeah, but like anybody could go in, use this as a template for files and file names and create their own packs. That's what I'm hoping. All right, so everything that we have is available in there. And I should be able to swap over. Yeah, this D-input controller has completely different buttons that PlayStation has decided that they wanted to make. So if I remember correctly, it might not be. I'm not remembering correctly. I'm gonna have to set it inside of LaunchBox for now. There we go. Select back and search. All doing what is on my controller, so it looks like it's working good and the pack looks good. Cool. Double check this pack. And the PlayStation. Do 1.0. A new controller input pack. Let's do this. This is a white. I'm gonna remove stuff from my windows. Controller. There you go. I can use this for both. So a solid white controller input graphic pack representing a PlayStation controller that is in D input mode. Initial release. We've got I'm going to take this out actually. As well take a screenshot of this. All right, one more pack to go. Load a new controller pack. So this is if you had a Switch Pro and you made it function as an X input controller. I'll just edit the same Nintendo in X input mode. So take the same kind of screenshot of this. Good, and then the media pack. I'll find it here. Okay, so those packs should be available inside of LaunchBox. And I should see these packs, and then just make sure that if I update them, that they're gonna go into the correct place. Let's double check. That looks good. That looks good. All right, we did it right. I am very surprised. I did make a mistake there. Now all we have left to do is take the code that I created for this, which probably better if I could see more of it on the screen at once, and populate this throughout all of the different themes files that would require this. Okay. What requires this? It would be every single default platform game view, every single potentially, so let me open them up. This one, this one, this one. All 4 wall views. The text games view. Let's see, system view maybe? Do I have it in the system view? I do. Oh, star rating, no. No, platform, all the platform wheels. There's 4 of them. Do I have it in the options view? I would assume not. And I would assume wrong. All right. Menu, MAME, keyboard view, none of these. 3 horizontal game views. Not the game marquee or the game details. There's a filter view. I don't know. That's not it. Actually, might have missed the text filters view. There it is. Achievements, nothing in there. Cover flow with the 2 need that. Would add it to this one. No. I think we're good, which is we got all the views listed all the way up here, plus more. So I just have to populate this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21 times. That's it. Then we're done. I guess probably should test all these views after I'm done. So we started here. So what I might do is pull out this new stack panel with the correct information. Use this over here as a copy and paste function. And then up at the top, also grab the reference that I need in a separate notepad that I can also use to copy and paste. Okay. As I finish one, I'm going to close it so that I know it's done. Here we go. How fast can we get through this? All right, so adding a new namespace, right? Removing the old get binding. Navigating down to this controller input section and copying and pasting all of this away. Save. Flows. Gotta get into this flow now. Paste that, get rid of that. And remove that. Oh, we should automate this process, shouldn't I? And you just never know. Getting through it. Like I'm getting into a somewhat of a pattern, so that's a good sign. This also assumes that I did this all exactly the same way on every single page. I hope that assumption is correct. This is like the fun part of big box theming. By the way, I would not recommend if I was building my own theme just for myself, I would not recommend doing it this way. Where every single page literally having to paste the same crap over again into all these pages. The reason we do it this way... Oh, what am I on? Text games view. This view is definitely different. Here we go. Okay. Oh, it's different. Ah, okay. I know why. Ding. The game details page actually had an extra binding. That I must have added. Let's do that. Oh, this is really messy. All right, I gotta do it with all white text. Let's see if I can do it. So this one is no longer search. This one is game details. At least I was given. I was given the code. I don't have it up. So I don't have to guess this. Inside of controller bindings. Display. Okay. Search. Okay, so it's show game details as far as I'm reading this. Oops. Oh. Kind of back in action. Wheel games views are all here. Wall games views are all here. The text games view I was messing around with here. I assume I remember doing the top part. Yeah. I guess I should have split this up between games and this is the one I was messing around with earlier. Not confident in this. Is it not found? That's an old reference. All right, I feel like I probably am missing a couple of them. Game views that I'm gonna have to go find after this. That's okay. Wall view. Another wall view. Another wall view. Anybody use these wall views from the default theme? Yeah, at least I know of one person that does. So I'm doing this for you, Astro Bob. Definitely not doing for ED, right? Hey, it's a nice gesture to be like, oh, the default theme has 10, 15 views, types. Problem is now we have to do this every time we want to make a change to the default theme. And I don't know if I finished my thought, but the reason why I could, for example, create like a style sheet and then put this code inside of the style sheet. And then in this theme, all I have to do is reference that style sheet. And as long as that's set up, then I can make this change to this in one place and it'll be done. But the problem is we want to build these views independent of each other. Like the view itself is self-contained so that it's easier for users to learn off of and utilize in their own themes. Like you can go and take this file and use it in your theme and not need a secondary file for it to run. And it's a lot easier to learn off of, right? You don't want to be learning and looking at a file and be like, this one looks like it's just referencing something else. Now I gotta go jump in this other file, and so alas, we do it this way. Game Noob, you mostly use wheel horizontal. Horizontal wheel. That's interesting. I'm glad somebody does. Yeah, so what do you use, ED? What is everyone's preferred view / theme in Big Box? You know what I have to do? I need extra trigger on this one. Where did I put it? Here it is. So this, this one here. I do this off the top of my head. Its ability is visible. Finding is in game details? I could be wrong there. Value true. The reason I'm having to do this and collapsed is because this view is used for both a textless view and the game details view, and this binding is to show game details. I don't want the show game details binding to be on the game details page. That wouldn't make any sense. So if I did this right, it's basically saying if you're in game details, make this whole control, collapse this whole control. This looks terrible. Why does this look like this? Oh, I know why. So edu use the Millennium theme. You like the big screen TV for the gameplay videos. Is the Millennial theme be remembering this wrong? Is that one of the Pawpaw themes? Is it wait. Millennium. Oh, it's not a Pawpaw theme. Wait, but this doesn't sound like what you're describing. I mean, it might actually, to be honest. Like this guy, this one. How do you like this one? Okay, I assume you're not using this one. You're using this one that shows off the big screen, which is just a box with a border, it looks like. That's transparent. Cool. What does this look like? You don't use it for the games view. You use, what did you say? Colorful, right? LaunchBox. Oh, you used it, but it's got slow transitions. Yeah, even Viking, the guy that made the theme, is not a fan of the slow transitions. Well, these days anyway. At some point he was. You like themes where gameplay videos are larger. Okay, so your main, like the platform view is unified refried, but a game list you're using, I'm sure he's got many. Not this one. Oh, it doesn't show the view? I'm trying to figure out, do you think this is just a static image of a graphic? Let's find out. It kind of does if he's got an English version. It looks like he's got some static strings in there. Static text. Let's take a sneak peek into one of these views. We're probably going to find out it's a CTC theme. Yep. And so we're looking for select. No, that's too general. There it is. So it's just a text block where he typed the word select out. and then the image the wheel. Okay, the image is up here actually, and the image is pointing to this folder with just a graphic, so media pad. So it's going in here and it's just displaying this. And what he probably has instructions on here that I'm not reading is he's like, I created 4 buttons for each controller, switch it out manually for the ones that you want to use. But what that does mean is that it's not a dynamic thing. Like, we've got this dynamic system that he could have created these packs and made it so the button adjusts depending on what a user's value actually is. And it looks like instead he's just made static buttons. Well, that sucks that all of these images, like, there's so many, and he didn't even create one that you use. But yeah, it would be cool. Like, the guy could take the code that we made and just make this dynamic to the user. I mean, using this new system, basically. Yeah, he's jumping from like this sort of blurred, nice, more modern style. An interesting choice. This one. Okay. The vertical wheel with pretend living room vibes. That's cool. Does this have a little animation on it? This like little the box? It's a fairly bare bones one, not a lot of information. So that's interesting. It looks clean. And Game Noob, you just you're minimalistic. You show the game name mainly for you, and that's it. And a fan art background. Wait, does that mean you created your own theme? Oh no, you created cartogram. Which theme is that one? Oh, did you release the theme? Yeah. Nice. Okay, so you're using this one here, I guess, when you're saying you want the name and a fan art background. What happens if there's no fan art background for one of your games? Or is your library curated enough that you don't find that that's happening as much? Okay, so you have a fallback to some text and a box image. What's this view? That has a lot more information in it than the other one. But I'm not seeing a wheel. So is the wheel or the game list? Oh, wait a second. It's down here. Okay. Underside. Give you 5 seconds and it slides up the fan art. Yeah, I should probably read this, shouldn't I? Wheel with details, fan art with rotatable box. Which one's that one? Ooh, that's a different one. That one looks nice. That's the text games view, I assume. The filter list view. Yeah, so guess you can't use this one, ED. You're okay, so you got the rotatable is the details view. Cool. ED, you just want all of your stuff there and have it not move at all. Like, what is your threshold for any kind of animation that's happening on the screen other than the video? None. Man, so that unified box that comes down from the top, like, must annoy the heck out of you. And man, those spinning discs. Oh, you want no transitions in big box too. Okay. So you got 3 views. 1 is fan art only. 2 is the details. 3rd one is details with rotation. Just keep adding more of the features in each view. Okay, so your threshold is spinning discs. But box art dropping from the ceiling, too much for ED. But before I get too much off track, no, I hear you. There was, like, when I created the Retrotastic theme, it was 2017, I think I was working on it, or 2018, and at the time, there wasn't a lot of themes that did lots of animation. And so we were experimenting with, or I guess I was experimenting with, as much animation as possible, regardless of, like, taking art further than usability. And so that original version was like, wait 4 seconds or something, and then the box would slam itself outside of, like, a TV screen. The box would just like escape a TV screen and then do a little wobble and then skirt itself over to where it needs to go, and then there would be little, like, logos inside of the TV screen that's indicating the star rating and things like that. And the star rating would just, like, randomly pop out of the TV screen as well after a little while and just like put itself somewhere with animation. And there's just like all these weird animations going on. And then after the box got there, the cart would like drop out of the box and just insert itself into a console that's not visible. It's like all this stuff is just happening just because at the time I wanted to know if it could. And then later, like years later, I was looking at the theme and I was thinking, like, man, that's a long time before I even see the box. And so when I was remaking the theme, I remade it and made everything super as fast as I could while still retaining animations. Oh, so you went further and you, Game Noob, you themed the music pop-up box. That's cool. Not a lot of people do that. Yeah, just to give you an idea, I don't even know if I have the... I don't know if I have a video of it because it doesn't exist anywhere. This version of Retrotastic. Except in videos. Oh, wow. Apparently the video's not around anymore. I wonder where I put the video. Oh, here it is. That's funny. Let's do it. A version of Retrotastic that does not exist. Look how long it takes. When was this? 6 years ago when I posted this video. Here it comes. This pops up. There's just so much going on. You know what? This version of the theme probably wasn't even the first few versions. That was even slower. So you liked Retrotastic, and the only thing stopping you was a delayed video playback? Yeah, but the video doesn't take that long to play. What? A second? Compared to There Comes the Box. There goes the star rating. Joe, before Big Box was the game, it was the show. Game Noob, you kind of wanted to have the ticker text for the music, but you wouldn't have a clue how. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I'm glad that, I mean, it did well in that there was enough community support around it. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was showing off, like I didn't create all of these game-specific banners. I think I created maybe 10. And it said, here's examples. And then some, you know, a really cool guy came and just created packs and packs and packs of this artwork. A lot of it, I assume, from Hyperspin themes. And released them as these giant packs, and I think this video is showing his work off. Man, I was done after having to create like 150 or 160 platform specific backgrounds for this. Yeah, it's bringing back memories. There were some like technical animation tricks that I had to do just to accomplish some of this stuff. Things that you don't even notice in the end, right? Like the box. So there's like there's a CRT overlay, I guess, over the video. And so when you look closely, the box comes through. So right now it's behind that CRT overlay, and then at some point it comes in front of the CRT overlay, and so that you have to trigger through an animation to change the layout Z order of items. And that took me a while to figure out, if I remember correctly. Anyway, that was fun. Joe, was that one of the ones that created during one of your early CTC streams? Actually, no, that was way before that. This was all just hand-coded. Yeah, that one we had to do it the harder way. But the thing about the CTC version is that a lot of what I did over in this theme, there at this point probably still some things that you can't quite do in the CTC. So when I ported it over, I left certain things out, basically. You know, and the version that you have now is more simplified. Things happen a lot quicker. There's not any of that jumping around sort of thing. The coolest thing that I did, I don't have a video about it. And it's something that no one would care about. That's what I think is the coolest thing. Is the I don't remember the name of the theme that maybe it was like the bedroom theme. I don't know if anybody remembers the bedroom theme. It was this one. It was this theme. Like, I don't even see the work that I did on it. That's the cool part about it. So what I did was I took this theme, this graphic, and I worked on 24 different versions of it to represent the different time of day, and put triggers on a lot of the elements to make it so that if you're using this theme throughout a whole day, the time change, like the real time change where you live, the scene would change to that time. And so if you played all of those frames very quickly, you would see the representation of all of those, the different potential outcomes. I'm trying to think if I created like a really fast GIF of that. Where did I put it? And then of course after I did that and I thought it was so cool, I just got lost. It's one of those things that's cool in concept. Here it is. Let's see if I can show you this. Oh, it's too small. Can I zoom in? It'll be a little. So here's all 24 the 24-hour cycle happening very quickly. What's funny is you could see you can kind of see the time on the VCR change, because in order to make this work, I had to actually change the time on my computer to take a screenshot of all the different potential possibilities. And it was kind of crazy to like accomplish this. You have to have different kinds of background images, each one representing the different time of day. And then of course I got this like window glare passing through. Yeah, it turned out pretty good. Anyway, it's Lost to Time. I feel like it's part of one of the views in this theme. Right, Johnny Castaway. That's kind of like, there's some themes where I build and just add like weird Easter eggs that most people won't notice. Like for Banner Box, I put a little, to be honest, I don't think it's there anymore. But originally I put a little Sonic character. So if you look at, I don't know, can I even search for Banner Box here? Files. I can get a picture of it. I can't really. I put Sonic in the background here, and he runs across the screen in the background, just randomly, on a few views. And I don't think anybody noticed, but it was there. All right. To make sure that I did everything right, I need to now open up every single game view. Text games view, I know I just did. The horizontal wheel ones. What's menu item? No. None of those. None of the filter ones. Cover flow. Okay. And I need to make sure that they have the game specific version of this here. For example, this one does not. Okay. This one does not. This also does not. I'm glad I'm going through this process. Also does not. Also does not. This one does. I think the rest should have it, but it's nice to do a visual. Yep, good. Good. We're good. We're good. And last one. Good. All right, so now we can do one last open of big box. Okay, so I see the PlayStation graphics in the bottom right, and I'm making sure that every single view that I'm going to go to has that. It's not showing the Xbox ones. Alright, so far so good. Go into the game view, which has a lot. I'm going to start at the top. We're good. I'm seeing a problem, but I can fix that later. You know what I forgot to do is test. So like the show. Show game details. To turn on the controller. Probably not that. Let's just try that. I'm just going to list out all the issues that I see. So system menu, open placement. Do I even want to do this in here? Using the wrong buttons because I didn't map the controller. Looks good. Cool. So that so far so good. This one doesn't work. Which one's this one? The wall view 1, wall view 2, and wall view 4. That's an odd combination, but I'll take a look. Also seeing some other things that are missing. Makes sense because I probably stripped it out. All right, cool. Write that down. All view 1. 2, 4. All right. I think that's pretty good. I think I did a good amount. Got my list for what I need to do next. And I think what I'm going to do is call it. I don't know. Does anybody have any more questions? We're light on questions today. And we're just sort of hanging out. I'll finish that up. Basically what's going to happen from here on out. No problem, Crusade. We're going to try to release this basically tomorrow. And so what I'll do is I'll finish up what I'm doing. We'll get everything into a master branch, create a beta, and then more than likely have that out tomorrow morning. So you'll see a new beta release with all the stuff that we talked about today. And then we'll just keep moving forward like that. So, oh, it's fun hanging out with you guys today. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll be back at it next Thursday. I'll be back at it tomorrow. And we'll see you guys next week. Next Thursday should be good. And it'll be April next Thursday. So, I don't know what that means, but at least another month will have gone by in 2025. All right, Game Noob, you take care as well. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you guys next week. All right, have a good weekend.